Hi, Deni. I'm your interpreter. Give me a nod if you can hear me. I'm pretty sure that you saw some footage and you have some general information on the film. I believe that the main message, my message, is basically that this film is a continuation of the legendary Blade Runner. At the same time, it's a film in its own right, an independent film from the first one. And the first question is, it has to do with the film Arrival, which we saw last year. It's quite amazing that this great director, psychological thrillers director, and a realist director, it's a large-scale sci-fi film, right? Arrival. And then when Arrival was on our screen, it actually coincided with shooting of Blade Runner 2049, so it's not a result of Arrival. The director worked on these two films, sci-fi films, simultaneously. So the question is simple. Denis, all your life you were getting ready for these sci-fi films? Is that what you always loved and you always liked, or is that something new? And if that's something new for you, what does it have to do with?
Yes, it does work, thank you. I would say it's both. The thing is that I was raised as a sci-fi lover, reading a lot of European novels, or some American authors as well. Let's say that sci-fi is close to the dream state for me, and I feel that science fiction is a genre that is very dynamic to explore thematics that are maybe sometimes more abrasive or more intellectual, and that you can explore those subjects in a very dynamic way. Yeah. So it's like it has been a long time since I was dreaming to do science fiction, but honestly, there's not a lot of good science fiction movies. Most of the time they are like fantasy movies. They are like designed for teenagers, or they look more like B movies. So it's very difficult to find strong, powerful, poetic subjects that are good stories. And when I read Story of Your Life from Ted Chiang, I felt that it was the first time I was in presence of a story that will inspire me to create a feature film.
Что касается первого «Бегущего по лезвию», вы помните свою встречу с этим?
Do you remember meeting the first Blade Runner, and did it influence you greatly? Did you have a dream or maybe an idea that you will be working on the sequel before you signed the contract with the studio?
I vividly remember seeing the movie for the first time when I was a young teenager. It had at the time I'm from a small town in Canada, where at the time there was obviously no internet. It was like we were just in link with the rest of the world by newspapers. And the thing is, I was not aware where I was, how the movie was received. I mean, I didn't know that it had been panned by the film critics. I didn't know that it had been a failure at the box office. My relationship was with the movie was an intimate relationship, which means. And I remember that I felt I was really impressed for several reasons. First, the thematics, that at last I was seeing that the only movie I've seen before that was like a strong and powerful science fiction movie was 2001: A Space Odyssey from Kubrick, and then I was in front again, another science fiction movie that felt like a real piece of art, and with very strong aesthetic choices that really at the time blew my mind. So yes, it had an impact, aesthetic impact on me, and it had an influence on my work after. But if you had told me at the time that I would have done that I was about to work on a sequel of this movie, I would laugh out loud, honestly. Honestly, I'm still waking up sometime in the morning saying, "Oh God, what I've done."
Ну так расскажите нам.
So tell us what you've done, because we only saw some footage. We haven't seen the film. We are always afraid of spoilers, but would like to find out what is the story all about. Who are these characters? And maybe we can start with the world that we see in the film. The footage that we see resembles the world of Ridley Scott's film. Has the world changed over these years that have passed inside the universe of the film and also outside the universe in our world?
First of all, I will say that I not used to that kind of exercise where I have to talk about something that you guys haven't seen. I mean, it's like I never done that before. And the level of secrecy on this movie is like something I never experienced before. It's just that there's several plot points that are very sensitive and delicate in the story, and the studio want to protect the project as much as possible. So I'm sorry if you didn't see the movie yet. I wish you had, because then you could have a real conversation together, but that's the way it is right now. So what I can say is that it was a very difficult task to imagine what the future of the original Blade Runner will be. The first thing is I had help from Hampton Fancher to try to make that world evolve. It's a projection in the future of the first movie, so it means that there are things. The first movie is set in 2019, and obviously there's things that were like prophetic, the things that were described in the first movie that did happen, and there's a lot of things that didn't as well. So it means that we had to create an alternate universe to create 2049. And let's say that the climate went went in the wrong direction, meaning that the world is more brutal in this movie. Societies are struggling. The economic structure on the planet is like in a survival mode. Most of the countries, from a political point of view, are collapsed. It's more like gigantic cities that are like it's more like a municipal world where you have like gigantic cities that are the center of the world, like Los Angeles is one of them. And basically it's just an extension of the first film. That's what I will say.
Фотографы, спасибо.
The photographers, thank you so much. That will be it for photos. And now, the moment what we see in the footage, it's been repeated, and intuitively it reminds me of the Terminator series. But I guess other people have other associations. The blackout that you talk about a number of times, something very important and something that happened in between the two films, right? What is this blackout, or is it yet another secret that we shouldn't mention?
Something I can talk about is that, but what I like about the blackout is that it's a mysterious event that is not necessarily explained in the movie. It's something that occurred right after the first movie, where basically there was like a kind of EMP, electromagnetic impulse that destroyed the digital data. So meaning that there's no, in 2049, the world doesn't rely on internet, on digital world. It's more we came back to an analog world, which is a very good thing for a detective story, I would say. Meaning that my character cannot find clues or things going on Google. It doesn't exist anymore in 2049.